And the sad thing about this is, like, oh, the second half of the game, it's another castle, sounds really cool. It's like, yeah, more game. The problem is, like, it's the same castle, just upside down, and very quickly you will realise just how tedious it is to get around. They also, the music tracks don't have as much variation. They reuse one music track called Final Toccata for so many areas, which, you know, really doesn't help the case. So it gets tiresome very quickly, unfortunately. Okay, so we'll replace that. The Stone Mask has a higher intelligence rating, which is nice. Ice Brand is still our best sword. It might not be our best, but, you know, it's the best one I've looked at the moment. And I don't want to go through the menu to try and find one that's better. Actually, here is the enemy I mentioned earlier, Yorick, known as Football Skeleton in Japan. Ooh, the Skull Shield, that's a rare drop. I'm getting some pretty good drops in this game, in this playthrough. I don't see the Skull Shield that often. So that's kind of neat. Yeah, I remember when I first did this and the Reverse Castle first appeared. It was really cool at the time. And as a kid, like, don't really have that many games to play anyway. So finding out a game you've been really enjoying isn't actually over, and you found the secret to playing more of the game was really cool. And like, the first time through it, it doesn't really hit home that it's just more of the same, but of lower quality. So it was great doing it the first time. Now, the trick with the second castle, the reverse castle, is we have all of the movement abilities, so this castle is not as ordered as the previous one. You can go pretty much anywhere from the beginning. The goal is actually to kill 5 bosses. This is the first in the Darkwing Bat. This is a reference to the original Castlevania, the first boss of the game, the Giant Bat. So, what the aim of this castle is, 5 bosses, each referencing the original Castlevania. Each boss is one of the bosses from the original Castlevania, and killing each one will give you a relic from the second Castlevania. So, if you've been through the first Castlevania, you'll know the 5 bosses we're after. There are several optional bosses in the reverse castle, like Beelzebub, the zombie trio, Galamoth. But most of them are required for us to get the ending. If you've not played the original Castlevania, I will leave the bosses as a surprise. Although it's worth noting that the original Castlevania is the most influenced by the of the series is the most influenced by the classic horror movies, the Universal horror movies. So, with the exception of the giant bat and one other, they are classic Universal horror monsters. Now, if you've not really been leveling up or grinding for experience, the damage some of the enemies will do in the reverse castle may worry you, but you will be gaining experience a lot faster from these enemies because they don't take much damage, they just deal a lot of damage. But they drop a good amount of XP, so you'll quickly hit the level you're expected to be at. And this is the room where the Cloaked Knight respawns without you leaving the room. Like I say, the only enemy, I think, in the game that does that. And only there, I think. I don't think he does it anywhere else. So getting through here is actually worse than it was in the original Clock Tower. All the Medusa heads are now the petrifying kind. The Cloaked Knights are probably worse than harpies. There's more of them. And there goes Salad, helping us by taking them out. Oh no, I want that. The Heaven's Sword. Another fairly rare drop. The attack is lower, but it has a very unique property. It's a long-range weapon, which makes it incredibly useful, especially since it still hits on the return. So I'm very happy to get that. It's not as broken as the Sagrum is, or really even broken at all. Doesn't do a huge amount of damage compared to a lot of other weapons, but like just the range it has makes it really useful. Oh hey, the Medusa Shield. I'm getting some really good luck with drops on this playthrough. Oh, it's not as good. Although, that's interesting. The attack goes up. You see, he's actually dealing damage to the Medusa heads. So that's interesting. Usually I think I stick with the Herald Shield until I get the Alucard Shield back at this point. Look at this, like, here's the Dragon Helm. This is the helmet we started the game with. Like, good boost to a lot of our stats, and supposedly lowers enemy defense. I think this is, without question, the best headpiece in the game. But like, we do start finding the equipment that was stolen from us by death. So that's nice. And like I said, I usually just hold on to the Herald Shield until I get the Alucard Shield back. Oh hey, it's actually raining now. One thing that's worth noting is, like, everything is reversed. It's a little hard to see, but the rain's actually falling upwards, rather than it falling downwards against the castle because we're upside down, which would be a neat touch. It's worth noting this is probably one of the longest secret parts of any Castlevania game like this. Because most of the Metroidvania games after this do something similar where there's a bad ending, and avoiding the bad ending will unlock more of the game. But none of them, I think, are as long as this. Except with the possible example of Order of Ecclesia. Because Order of Ecclesia... avoiding the bad ending unlocks the castle. You don't go to the castle unless you avoid the bad ending, and then you've got the castle. Aria of Sorrow, you unlock the boss fight with Julius. And the Chaos Realm, but that's like an extra hour maybe. If that, probably closer to half an hour. Especially since after that you get the Black Panther Soul, which lets you go really fast. Through there is the Reverse Library. There's nothing of any real value there. Although that is where you can grind for the Crusade Grim. Like the really super best weapon in the game. Which I'm not going to do. Because it is broken. Dawn of Sorrow, you unlock another kind of chaotic realm. So here's Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein's monster was the 4th boss of the original game. We get the Tooth of Vlad. So yeah, Portrait of Ruin was... if you avoided the bad ending for that, you unlocked 4 more portraits, which were recycled from the 4 portraits you go into in the main game anyway. But they did have different level layouts, at least. Because like this is just the same level layout, but in reverse, and it's really not great. So yeah, and then you get to head towards the real final boss. Which is kind of neat. It is a good amount of extra. So it is longer than Aria of Sorrow and Dawn of Sorrow are. But doesn't recycle like this game does. But I think Order of Ecclesia probably does do it the best with... the game is... before avoiding the bad end is... mostly a linear sequence of areas. You go through an area, you unlock a story sequence, and you're able to progress to the next area, and you continue like that. And if you find all the kidnapped villagers, then you can go to the castle. And the castle is really kind of cool. There's a lot of new bosses, which was really neat. Order of Ecclesia did kind of mix it up with that. But to be fair, Portrait of Ruin had some interesting original bosses as well. Okay, so we're going this way to... we're going to circle through, because we're not going to explore all of this reverse castle. We saw enough of the castle in the right way up, in the normal castle. So we're not going to go through all of the reverse. So what we're going to do is, I think, face every boss and try and get to them as straightforward a route as possible. So if we head down here, we'll be able to take on the next mandatory boss, the optional super boss that's tougher than the final boss, and then we can circle round. And we should be able to make it relatively painless. But we've seen what most of the areas look like anyway already. And they look the same here, they're just upside down. So this is Lost Painting, which I mentioned earlier. This is one of the 2 tracks that are used a bunch in this reverse castle. It's Final Toccata in, I think, 6 areas, and this in maybe 2 or 3. And I do like this song. I used to have the opening bars as the as my message tone, which I quite liked. There is also an extra boss here that I've forgotten, which is actually just up here. This is Doppelganger 40. More powerful than the previous Doppelganger, which was Doppelganger 10. Although, oh, I did have him in a stun lock cycle there for a bit. Oh, he got out of it. So this one does have a few more tricks up his sleeves. He can do the gravity jump. He can use the diamond sub-weapon rather than the knife. He can still wing smash. His sword now deals poison damage. And poison's really interesting in this game. It doesn't actually damage you over time. It just lowers your attack, which is really weird. But yeah, this is an optional boss, so rather than another piece of Vlad, we get another life max up. And now we just carry on. I'm going to have to turn back into Alucard right there. There we go. So, particularly in your first time through, it is worth it to explore more of the normal castle and the reverse castle. Because you'll find more abilities, you'll level up some more, you'll find some new items. So I'm probably not going to find all of the Alucard equipment. But it is worth it, especially in your first time, to find most of it, because it is really good equipment. The Alucard sword is a very reliable sword. The shield is very reliable, and if you want to break the game, you can use the shield rod with it, which is always fun. And the Alucard mail, like I say, has decent defense and also some really good elemental resistances. And you can also end up finding more abilities for the transformations that you get. Like we have Form of Mist. Is it called Soul of Mist? So if it is, that'd be weird. No, it is Form of Mist. Soul of Wool, Soul of Bat. You can get Power of Mist, which allows you to stay transformed as Mist. As we are now, mist is a very short thing, and that's it. That's as long as we can stay as mist. But with Power of the Mist, it's as long as we have magic. Like I said, Death has a different sprite now.
So, you've made it this far. In the name of your father, cease this foolishness!
Not while there's a breath in my body.
Then for the Master, I'll feast on your soul this night.
It's also the only story we're going to get until we find the final boss in the reverse castle. Like, that's it. I think this game started the tradition of Death having a second form, which became a tradition. I don't think it was a tradition at any point in the classic Castlevania games. That said, the Heaven Sword is really helpful for staying out of range of his attacks. If I'd grinded for a second Heaven Sword, that would make this even more useful, because I could fire one off after the other. It'd be a lot faster. Because, to be fair, it's not like I'm using the shield that much now. Or really ever. I just feel more comfortable with the shield than two weapons. But like most people you see play this game properly, we'll just have two weapons rather than a shield. Okay, it's all well and good to block projectiles, but a lot of them aren't that difficult to avoid anyway. So a lot of people don't bother with shield, which is very understandable. So here's the Alucard sword, which is one of the best swords in the game. Like, look at that considerable boost. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the Heaven Sword in my other slot. So I've got close and long range, which is really nice. Let's see how that works out for me. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to go in the teleporter and go the other route to get some more bosses, and then we'll come back down here and go and face the optional super boss that's harder than the final boss, and then we'll make our way towards the final boss, which, luck permitting, shouldn't take us longer than an hour. Which would be really good. That'd be a really nice time to finish a casual run of this game off. I'll be happy with that. There's a completion time around 4 hours or so. But yeah, this gets to be part of the issue with the reverse castle very quickly. I went to the wrong teleporter. Did I not unlock? No, I didn't, and I completely blanked. I was not paying attention. I am a fool. Oh, I have to go through the clock tower again. That's some good work there, Shaun. Great day. Hour and 10 minutes, I guess. Yeah, like, the travel gets to be one of the biggest issues we're getting around the reverse castle. You spend a lot of time either doing the gravity boost jump, the super jump, or transforming into the bat just to get to specific platforms. And it gets to be really tiresome. I don't think they played Tragic Prince either. Nope, it's the final Toccata again. It's a shame because I really do love the Tragic Prince as a song. Who knows, maybe we'll get another Heaven's Sword here. That said, if we do, like, the Alucard Sword is not something I really want to replace, though. As nice as the Heaven's Sword is, like, the Alucard Sword does have the power and makes me more versatile. Like, a lot of people going to like get themselves overpowered for this game will go for 2 Crusaderums, which you can see the appeal of. Like, you can hit like 8 times very quickly with that. But I think like the Crusaderum and the Heaven's Sword is the better option, because then you have close range and long range. Because a lot of enemies will not cooperate with you and get into attack range, which can be really irritating. While the Heaven's Sword does have a lot of versatility like that. So you're getting your damage and your long range attacks. Really nice. One of the best things about the Crusaderum, though, is you do not stop moving when you attack with it. Like, with the Heaven's Sword, we still move when we attack. It's very helpful. And the same is true of the Crusaderum. So, Alucard Sword, stop, stop, stop. Heaven's Sword and the Crusaderum, nope, just keep going. And it is a really nice thing. So yeah, like, Crusaderum plus Heaven's Sword, like, best combination, I'd say. It's really nice. Yeah, because like a genius, I didn't go and activate the teleporter. And there's no point in doing it now, because we never need to be back here. That's some grade A Let's Play in there, Shaun. Yeah. So now I'm trying to think of the most efficient path. We want to head down here first, and there's another boss in the Reverse Colosseum that we'll want to check out. Damn it. Like I say, Skill the Wolf, really helpful. But here we have another mandatory boss. Are we going to see the demon? Probably not. She's been really accurate this time. Yeah, Medusa was the second boss of the original Castlevania. Heart of Vlad. It's worth noting that all of these pieces of Vlad we get as well do offer permanent stat boosts. Avoid curse. We can never be cursed again while we have that. Strength plus 10, intelligence plus 10, luck plus 10. So with every piece you get more and more brokenly strong. Avoiding curse is such a nice ability. It's a shame we don't get it until this late, because I think at this point there's not really anything that can curse you. And the main thing is the ectoplasms. Even then, they only appear in the library, really. So they're not much of a concern. So yeah, it sounds like a nice idea, but doesn't really have much of a point. Am I gonna get there before I run out? Yes, nice. Do I have enough mist? Do I have enough to... No, I don't. What about now? No. Oh, that's a tease. We'll have to give it a moment. I'll use this opportunity to have a quick drink. Yeah, it should be enough. Wow, that took almost all of it. That was crazy. There isn't a story. There isn't a story bit here, but there is another piece of our original equipment, the Twilight Cloak. I got the Royal Cloak and I just never equipped it. Again, that's great work, Shaun. Hopefully we'll have enough. Hopefully we'll have enough magic to get back through. It's not often that the magic system manages to bite me in the rear, but yeah, every now and then it'll happen. Alright, come on. There we go. There we go. Okay, so if we head through the reverse Colosseum, the reverse All Rocks quarters is closer, I think, and that does actually have another mandatory boss. I think is the last mandatory boss.